What is up, guys? Team Yugi Phils here with another deck profile. So I know a couple days ago I posted my Burning Abyss deck list. I think the Burning Abyss actually is a pretty solid rogue contender for the upcoming format. And I believe that even though it is an upcoming contender, I think that Virtual World still is going to be one of the top 3 decks, if not the #1 deck. We'll see where it goes. I'm actually, at the moment I'm recording this, I'm watching the LCS. And I know from looking at what I can see that Zoo is the most represented deck, followed by Virtual World. I mean, I think it was a 240 plus person tournament, which is a lot of people. And I think that even though Zoo has a pretty good matchup, I think that Virtual World is going to have a pretty good overall matchup against the rest of the meta as well. So I think that Virtual World is probably going to be the best deck of the format, but outside of that, I think that if it isn't, it's definitely in the top 3 for sure. That being said, though, I'm going to hop into the deck profile here. It's pretty standard, honestly. This whole deck is pretty standard. 3 Lulu. This is just, it's your Searcher. It's the one money card in the deck, honestly. Nothing else is really expensive if you want to play on a budget. 3 Nyan. This card is really, really good to special summon itself from the grave. It's just overall a really ridiculous card. Then we have the triple Lau Lau. This card is actually really strong with like the Nyan and the Lulu, because you bring back the Lulu from grave with the Lau Lau, and then you get to summon the Nyan from grave as well, because you summon a level 3. So the Lau Lau is actually pretty strong. Then we have 3 of Lily, or Lily, however you want to say it. This is basically another Foolish Burial for your Virtual World cards, which is pretty sweet. I mean, all of them are, but it's an additional one on top of that. Then 3 Gigi. This one just adds back at the end of the turn from grave. It's pretty good. Not the best. Probably the worst out of all of them, but it's still decent. Then hand traps, 3 Ash and 3 Nib. My usual. I think this is a good hand trap lineup. I side deck more of them because we have the room to in the side deck, and it counters the meta depending on what you have in there. Then for some spell cards, we have triple Kowloon. This just gets you another one of your Virtual World spells or traps, tosses it on the field for you. That way you have a nice advantage building up. Then we have triple Qinglong, Qinglong, however you want to pronounce this card. This card is really, really good. It's a Searcher and an Effect Negation as well on board, which is pretty powerful, not gonna lie, considering the text written on it. And I'll bring this up close so you guys can see it here. Let me just angle that correct. You could probably see where it says even if this card leaves the field. That's a very important part of it. That's typically why it's so powerful. Then we have triple Desires. I don't think this needs much explanation. Desires is just super strong. Seeing you're playing basically all multiples in this deck, there are very few cards that you don't play multiples of, so Desires helps out a lot. Triple Talents. I'm going back and forth on whether or not I want to main deck this or main deck Forbidden Droplet. I'm very 50-50 on it. I haven't fully decided yet, but I think because you have the possibility of getting hand trapped a lot with this deck, that the Talents is probably the better choice. Then for some random cards that we play, I play 2 Foolish Burial Goods and 1 E-Telly. That rounds it up for the spells. I wanted to play like Upstart and something else, but I just opted to stick with these, and it's working for me so far, because especially the Foolish Burial Goods, because it's such a good extender if you need another card in hand. So I really like the card. Then the traps, 3 Chuchi and 1 Skill Drain. This doesn't need explanation for the Chuchi, because it's just it's crazy. It's popping a card or increasing levels or decreasing levels. That's really why it's strong. But the Skill Drain, on the other hand, I think that this card is probably the one like completely interchangeable card in the deck. This and like the Foolish Burial Goods you can kind of go back and forwards on. If you wanted to cut like this and the 2 goods and play another hand trap, that would also work, but that's kind of your guys' choice as to what you want to do there. That is the main deck, though. I'm going to hop on over to the extra deck now and showcase the 15 card extra. So for some level 6s, we have a Stardust Charge Warrior, unless you guys actually read that, because I know it can be hard to read the gold cards, just in case you're trying to spell it online. We'll look the card up. We have 1 Charge Warrior, 1 Coral Dragon, and we have 1 Juju, these are just really good level 6 synchro monsters. I think that they're probably the best options that you can play in the deck, and they get the job done for what you need them to do. That's the important part. And for the 9s, we of course play the Shen Shen, we play the Vermilion Mech, the Crocosaur. I'm going to try and move these over the best that I can. I'm going to have to overlay them a little bit for you guys here. And one Cloud Castle. I think that these are probably the best level 9 picks you can go with. I think especially the Cloud Castle for a grind game is very important. The Croc is really good to draw cards. Your Mech isn't bad. It's probably like the least important out of all these, but it's still really good. And the Shen Shen is just ridiculously good because it's basically Dark Claw. Good rank 9s though, or level 9s I should say. Moving on to the Xyz monsters, we play one Gossip Shadow and one Break Sword for the rank 3 Xyz monsters. The Gossip Shadow is ridiculously strong. It helps you avoid getting hit with Nibiru, which is very important in this deck because typically it takes you a lot more than 5 summons to make your Calamities. So you want to be able to cut your opponent off from dropping a Nibiru on you, and Gossip Shadow is the best way. The Break Sword is just generic. I don't think I'm going to explain that very much. Then the rank 6s, we have an M7, we have a Utopia Beyond. That's all that we have for the rank 6s. Technically another rank 6, because the way it works would be the Gaia Dragon, because you just stack this on top of one of these and continue your plays. But it's, even though it's the rank 7, I consider it to be a rank 6 just because of how it works. Still really good though. It helps you go into some of your power plays. Then we have double Calamities. There are going to be games where you can go into a second one for sure. This card is just crazy. I'm confused as to why Konami did not ban this. I get that, you know, Virtual World is a new deck, but this card's been out forever and people have been abusing this card forever. So I was honestly surprised by this more than anything. Then the last card is the one Zeus. This is really good with the Gaia Charger. You just stack it right on top and then you have double sending off of Zeus, which is pretty nuts. Then moving on to the side deck now. Side deck, as I mentioned before, we play some hand traps in here to counteract everything. So, triple Lancia, we don't want our opponent banishing anything from graveyard, so Lancia definitely gets you there. Super strong card, honestly. Really, really strong. We have 3 Droll and Lockbird. This card's pretty good in the Drytron matchup, or the Drytron matchup, whatever you want to call it. While watching the LCS, I'm determining that these might come out for Psycho Readers. That card's just crazy, so these honestly may get changed up for those when they show up in the mail, because I don't know where my old ones are. They're probably buried in a 5-row box somewhere. Then we have double Skullmeister. I think that I kind of want to bump this up to 3. I might honestly do... I thought about cutting what would have been a Droll for a 3rd Meister, but I don't know. I still think that this card is like just okay at 2. You don't need more than that. Card's just really powerful. Spell cards, the droplets that I mentioned before, I don't know if I want to main deck these or if I want to side deck these. Either way, I like playing tactics and droplet. It's just a matter of whether which I'm going to main deck these or side deck them versus the talents. It's kind of interchangeable, whatever you guys think your meta is going to look like. Then we have all the spell and trap removal. We have double Storm, 1 Feather Duster, and 1 Red Reboot. So if you're playing against a back row deck, you can side out your Nibiru because you're probably not going to need your Nibiru, so you don't have to worry about the Lightning Storms conflicting with that. Then the Red Reboot is just super strong, and then the Feather Duster is also really strong. But yeah, I mean, this is a pretty basic back row hate lineup. You could play like Twin Twisters or Cosmics if you don't want to pick up the Lightning Storms. That's fully up to you. But for me, I just think the Lightning Storms are crazy good. But that is the end of the deck profile. That basically wraps up Virtual World for right now. I think, like I said, this deck has a very good shot at being the best deck of the format, I think, by what could be representation within Top Cut. But at the same time, I don't know. We'll honestly see where the format goes. It hasn't even started yet, so we have a few days to see how everything starts to shape up. But if you guys enjoyed the video, make sure you give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to smash that subscribe button too. It's very important. You guys let me know what you want to see next in the comment section down below. If I have a deck and the materials for it, I will do my best to piece it together to showcase it to everyone on the channel. But like I said before, thanks for watching. Hope you guys enjoy it. And this is Team Megafils signing out.